You are about to enter the Red and Rev Sports Show experience. Get ready for some real sports talk from some real sports fans who were real sports athletes who have sports knowledge.
What's up, y'all? Episode 188. Well, it's time. It's time for a lot of things. Let me start off by saying it's almost time for the NBA playoffs begin. The pretenders will eventually be separated from the contenders. It's been time for the NFL to take notice of the HBCU players. It's really time for this Aaron Rodgers situation to reach a climax. I'm already tired of hearing about it. It's obviously time for Albert Pujols to retire, according to the Angels. It's about doggone time the Braves and the Hawks have an undefeated week. Please, I won't hold my breath on that one. And last but not least, it's definitely time for episode 188 to begin. Let Rev, Coach, and your boy Red sort all this bad timing out.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Red and Rev Sports Show, coming to you live from the ATL Show. Giving you real sports talk because we are real sports fans. We're real sports athletes who have what, gentlemen? Real
sports knowledge.
So come on, hang out with your boys, Red, Rev, and the Coach for episode 188 of the Red and Rev Sports Show. And as is our custom, we're going to turn our numbers attention to our numerologist, Coach Patrick Thomas. Give us something with 188, and let's cross our fingers and make sure it doesn't have anything to do with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Good morning, everybody. Let's see. Well, I just go to someone who is near and dear to the Falcons fans that you all love. The number one tight end, all of the NFL, number 88, Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez, thank you so much. Thank you so much. That is greatly appreciative that we had somebody outside of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We greatly appreciate it. Now, if you were to do,
Coach, how often do you go to Pittsburgh with all these Pittsburgh players? You name it. It's about time you take a trip there, man.
I'm telling you, man. So, if you were to do a Pittsburgh Steelers, I have an idea who you would have chosen. Who would you have chosen?
Oh, we know who.
The speech, my boy Lynn Swann, no doubt.
Exactly.
Right, man. So that's why we had to. I wanted to make that disclaimer before, so we would not be drenched with another Pittsburgh Steelers number, because I want people to know this is not a Steelers show. It is a Red and Rev Sports Show featuring Coach, and therefore we talk about other teams other than our own teams. All right, but nevertheless, we thank you, sir. All right, we got to do this real quickly. Welcome, Revanite Nation. We see some of them are in the house. Let's see who's checked in real quickly. Good morning, Shelby McDonald. Glad to have you. Look forward to being with you next week. Chris Traylor, good morning. Vincent Woodruff is in the house. Just wanted to come in and say available. Won't be doing some landscaping Mother's Day. Okay, so the pickings may be slim today in Revanite Nation, and we understand it. And Shelby, Coach of Sports Boo, patting him on the shoulder, saying nice job. All right. And to all, here we go. Thomas Holcomb checking in from the Walrus and Wallaby Weed Cipher. In Stoner, British Columbia. The Walrus and Wallaby.
Lord, sound like one I need to be at.
Lord have mercy. I tell you, man. I tell you, this joker here, man. I mean, we could do a show just all the places he checked in from. I tell you. But how you gentlemen doing?
Cool.
Good deal. All right, well, let's get ready to get this Red and Rev Sports Show party started. You know how we normally do it with our Dope, Nope, and Coke segment of the show. And we'll start with you, Coach. What are you doping on today?
Well, doping on one person who is considered the if not the greatest baseball player of all time. He's close. Willie Mays going to San Francisco and arriving in style. They did a thing for him as he celebrated his 90th birthday on the other day. Willie Mays, my dope moment of the week.
All right, man. That's why his picture was up. I didn't know what the reason why his picture was up the other day, but that's why his picture's up in okay. Oh, yeah. I have to apologize, man, because every time I hear Willie Mays now, I think about Willie Mays Hayes.
Wesley Snipes from Major League.
Yeah. Go ahead, Red. What's your dope moment?
My dope moment is for John Means and Wade Miley, two guys who dropped 2 no-hitters on us this week. And the surprising things, they came from 2 teams who really not known for winning anything. Like, well, even though we did knock Cincinnati out the playoffs last year, but John Means from Baltimore geez, you would have thought Baltimore won the World Series the way they were celebrating. But that was a good job. And Wade Miley almost had that perfect game. It wasn't for that error, though. But I know your second baseman feels bad about it, but still, 2 no-hitters from Baltimore Orioles and the Cincinnati Reds, of all places. Still waiting on the Braves to throw another no-hitter. Kent Mercker, 1997. Our last one.
All right.
Excellent. Absolutely excellent.
And I am doping on this player that I probably will butcher his name, and he happens to be an Atlanta Brave, Huascar Ynoa, pitcher for the Atlanta Braves, who hit a grand slam this past week, his second homer in 2 starts. He went deep. So I could hear Chris Berman saying, back, and it's gone. He hits the grand slam. So big ups, and my dope moment goes to Huascar Ynoa. God rest in peace, Sister Senorita Dukes from Mays High School. I know I didn't make you proud right there, who taught me Spanish at Mays High School.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Red, what are you noping on?
I'm noping on Chad Johnson trying to box in Floyd Mayweather's fight coming up this June on the second card. Chad, did you not see what happened to my man Nate Robinson? Now, dude, here we go with another athlete from another sport thinking they can box. This ain't no street fight. This ain't play fighting with your brother in the backyard, okay? This ain't fighting over no girlfriend at the club, okay? This is real boxing, Chad. And we don't want to see you looking like Manny Pacquiao and Nate Robinson in a few weeks, okay? So really, I really hope you know what you're doing, and I hope you get your reps in and your practice in. So I promise you, Chad, you will get killed on social media if they knock you to sleep. If they knock you, you know what, out, okay? So I hope you're ready, Chad, but I don't think you are. So I'm saying nope to Chad Johnson trying to box on Floyd Mayweather's card coming in June. Good luck to you, though, but I'll be ready for you to embarrass yourself.
No! No! No!
All righty. I am noping on the Atlanta Hawks fan that I heard about today as I was listening to Sports Talk Radio, who put down 20 grand on the Atlanta Hawks, believing that they will win. He put 20 grand on them winning the Eastern Conference Finals, and another 20 grand he put on for them to win the NBA championship. He just wasted 40 grand. He just wasted 40 grand. If by chance the Hawks did win the Eastern Conference Finals and won the NBA Finals, he would win $2.8 million. Well, brother, the only way you're going to see that 2.8 is if you had invested in NBA 2K 2021 and you played with the Hawks and you win the Eastern Conference championship on NBA 2K21. The Hawks, they're doing well, but they're not winning no NBA championship nor the Eastern Conference Finals. So you just wasted $40,000, and therefore you get my note moment for this week.
Oh no, Rev, it's all right bet if you can afford it. I mean, because you could get lucky. I mean, think of if somebody had to drop the same bet with the Miami Heat last year, and we probably would have been saying the same thing, laughing at them this time last year. I'm just saying it. I'm with you. I don't really think he's gonna win, but they might be a sleeper team in the East. You know, the Eastern Conference is the choke side, so somebody might choke, and it might be a team like the Hawks or the Knicks or one of the lower teams. I don't really think so, but we'll see. You know, I still say it's gonna be a choke job coming out the East.
It ain't no 40 grand. No, you ain't putting no 40 grand.
I don't think not. He might win the East bet. I want to say he got a better chance of winning the Hawks.
He ain't winning that bet either, Red. I mean, I know you're a Hawks fan, and I know you ride hard with the Hawks, but I'll explain more why the Hawks will struggle even to get out of the first round later on in the show. Stay tuned. Go ahead, Coach. What you noping on?
My no moment is to the New Orleans Pelicans front office, who claimed that Zion Williamson, who fractured his finger the other day, they said it was the ref's fault. And I'm like, to use my favorite term, what? How do you blame the league for something that could happen anytime? Saying his injury was the cause of the league because they playing too hard or something like that. Injuries happen, front office. So, what about your inconsistent play all year? You didn't say anything about that. Why you not gonna make the NBA playoffs? But moving on, that's my note moment.
You have got to be kidding.
David Griffin whining like I don't know what. Dude, yeah, coach is right. Blame your inconsistent play. Don't stop whining about a little finger injury. When that ain't gonna be the reason you don't make the playoffs, man.
All right, Red, you got commentary after every Dope Nope and Coke today, man.
Man, these are good ones right here, man. Y'all saving y'all good thoughts for the Dope Nope and Coke.
All right, it's on me now. What am I coping on? And this might normally be a red cope, but I'm coping with the fact that we will not see a healthy Los Angeles Lakers team in the NBA playoffs. And I think it's time for Laker Nation to come to grips that a repeat is very, 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 very unlikely, because I could even see LeBron sitting out the playoffs saying, let's run it back next year, give him a whole summer to get healthy and try to run and win the championship next year. But it ain't happening this year. So that's where my Coke moment goes on, because it would be good to see them at least try to repeat. And it doesn't look like that's going to happen. And they'll be lucky to get out the play-in game. All right, Coach, what are you coping on?
Well, I'm going to our hated rivals, the New York Mets, having to cope with, and let me put my quotes around it, animal in the tunnel, which caused them to run out and not go in the tunnel. I've heard some say it was a raccoon. I've heard some say it was a rat. But either way it go, it ran everybody back out the tunnel. So I guess they're going to have to cope with the fact that they have Animal Kingdom in their locker room.
Wow. All right, Red, you finish it out. What are you coping on, sir?
Unfortunately, I'm coping with the fact that my Falcons just might indeed trade Julio Jones before the season start. Started off as rumors, seemed like it's picking up more and more steam with each day. They have salary cap issues. The coach couldn't even come out and guarantee that the man will be on the roster in his interview yesterday. When the coach can't guarantee a player is going to be on the roster come this fall, usually that player is going to be in another uniform soon and very soon. So it's been a fun ride, Julio. Wish we could have got a ring. Still hope it's a chance you might be on this team where we can possibly still get a ring, but not looking likely. And I'm just going to have to cope, because I'm definitely going to have some words to say. I'm not going to be this nice when that trade finally comes down, but I'm just starting my emotional moment now, because I have a feeling that it's going to be soon.
All right. Well, you've heard our Dope Nope and Copes. Let's see what the Revenite Nation is talking about, as they are doping and noping and coping as well. Thomas Holcomb is doping if you're happy, and
Okay.
That's
Okay,
pretty
that was
good.
a good one.
That's pretty good,
That was a
man.
good one.
Hey, man, Thomas is
That
on.
was a good one.
Dope, LSU naming black man as president, William Tate IV. All right. That's interesting right there. Noping on LSU. Season ticket holders upset about the new president. They are stopping their contributions. Wow. Racism at its best.
Yeah.
We surprised?
Maurice Thor doping on his cousin Tutu Atwell being drafted by the LA Rams in the second round. He's living his dream. Congratulations to your cousin.
Give me your first cousin.
He may be one of those Armani Colin Sexton type cousins.
Yeah, man. Cousin you ain't never met before.
Well, anyway, we gonna say congratulations to your cousin.
I'm just messing with you, Maurice. Congratulations, brother.
Shelby, the Hawks is coping with the Hawks resurgence, and Red being right. It's a sad day. Oh boy.
Can't fight that.
And look at this is a sad day already because she's agreeing with Red again. Chad is going to get knocked out. I'll pay to watch. Maurice Thor, Georgia's governor, signing that stupid. Now we done got political today.
Come on now,
Thomas,
Maurice.
nope. LeBlanc, LaFlop Earl, LeBrick James. He's going to need to borrow a pair of padded shorts from Red. Last year he thought the playing game was great. This year someone needs to be fired. We'll talk more about that. Yeah. Shelby, 40,000 on the Hawks. What a waste of money. She was encouraging you to slow down, Red. The Hawks are not winning the East. Thomas lets us know what 40 grand can get you in Atlanta, get you 1,000 dates at Magic City. And Shelby said, add the wing platter.
Right.
Glad to have you, Sister Ellie Von Williams. She said lemon pepper wing. Thomas said lemon pepper wings at Daddy Mars Thrower, joins in, and a bottle of Hennessy. All right, they all on that one. Thomas Holcomb is also coping. The NCAA will not get it right. States are making their own laws for athletes to be able to profit from their likenesses and images. Shelby's saying, bye, Julio. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Wow, that's interesting. Cope, these Lakers and Dodgers, and who would have imagined the Dodgers being a part of that as well?
I'm
wow.
loving it.
Bill Brew, happy trails, Quintori. Man, what's going on? We got to start with this.
Y'all making me mad already now.
Falcons just signed Juwan Green, and I don't know who that is. We'll Google that. All right, let's. Is
that somebody you met at your Walrus convention?
All right, man. Look, we're gonna Julio Jones and the Falcons. Let's start with that, man, because obviously that story is picked up.
Even a main topic. They just talking about my Kobe moment. But let's go with it. I'm down.
All right, let's go with it, man, because we know how Red feels. I'm gonna start with Coach right here. Julio and Falcons divorce. You're a Steelers fan, so you've been able to see Julio's importance to the Falcons during his duration as a Falcons. You also are very much well aware of his injury history. What are your thoughts about the Falcons divorcing themselves from Julio? And as an objective person who is not tied to the Falcons, should Falcons fans be upset or glad about Julio potentially being cut or traded away from the Falcons?
I mean, you look at it and you just go, okay, one memory stands out to me with Julio, and it happened recently. Julio was running down the field 10 yards ahead of the nearest Tampa Bay cornerback. Matt Ryan throws up one of his patented classic wiffle balls, which Julio had to wait on to come get, and then it got broken up by the defensive back. Now, you Falcon fans who want to get rid of Julio, 6-7-time All-Star, who would have been much greater if his quarterback, and I hate to get on his quarterback, but it's true, could throw the ball deep. Julio been beating guys, and his size helps him to take the ball from when those flutter balls come up. He is able to make plays. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you are happy with Julio leaving, then I guess you happy with mediocrity. I mean, seriously. I mean, Julio is not the reason that the Falcons are struggling. I'm sorry. I've seen it. He goes and gets ball. He makes plays. And let's not forget, Falcon fans, he had you a Super Bowl. He had a Super Bowl in his grasp when he made that spectacular play to get you down near a field goal, which would have sealed the game. But no, your quarterback, in his infinite wisdom, along with his running back, gets sacked. You have to punt. The rest is history.
Wow. All right. So we know obviously Red is in Coach's Amen corner. So Red, feel free to testify to what Coach said.
Man, I need to walk to the altar at this moment, Coach. Man, Coach, put on one of Rail's rolls real quick so I can get down on my knees and say, "Hallelujah, brother," because I can't say it no better than that. I mean, you're right. Julio is not the reason that the Falcons are losing, but, and this is a big but, I'm about to do something Rail he's gonna be surprised by. I'm about to be objective.
Go ahead.
Unfortunately, I understand completely why the Falcons have to trade him. I just don't agree with it. I don't agree. I hate that we are in this moment. I hate that we are going to be forced to trade him. Why? Because of bad salary cap management. Bad decisions over time, bad decisions throughout the years lead up to this moment where you're forced to get rid of probably one of the top two greatest players in your franchise history. And yeah, I'm saying Deion number one, and I have to say Julio's number two for me, because I'm telling you, it's going to be a sad day on Red's page the moment the day this trade go down. I'm going to be sad, even if I do understand the reason. I am going to be sad. I'm going to be mad. I'm not going to be happy. This guy wanted to retire a Falcon. This guy wanted to win a ring with my Falcons. Like Coach said, he had the game won. If we just had a halfway decent quarterback that can close or that can perform in clutch moments or realize, hey, I sure don't need to take a sack right here because 3 points, that'll pretty much seal this game up. Patriots can't go down the field and score a touchdown and come back and get the ball and score a field goal. Not with this time left. So obviously, Julio Jones, quarterback, doesn't have the QB awareness enough to get him where Julio needs to be. And let me say for all you Matt Ryanites out there, Julio's position is a dependent position, okay? So don't come talking about, oh, Julio ain't got a ring. Why he a first? He gonna be a first ballot Hall of Famer, just like Calvin Johnson was, just like Julio and Randy was. They play a dependent position, dependent on having a top-notch quarterback, or you can suffer when you have a Matt Ryan type quarterback, which Julio has done throughout his career. So, like I say, I understand why the Falcons as a team overall feel they need to trade Julio, but you better believe I strongly disagree how and why and how we've come to be in this position. Done.
Well, I'm gonna say
that for data.
I'm gonna say this. Julio's playing with Matt Ryan showed how great of a wide receiver he is. And this is what I mean by this. Coach made mention of all of the balls that Matt Ryan could not get to Julio. Julio came into the league as a deep threat. He had to change his game in order to play with Matt Ryan and he became a possession receiver, where he would run short routes, 10, 15 routes, and then have a lot of yak after he catches the ball. That showed how great he really is. Because imagine if he had played with somebody who had an arm like Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes, it would have been scary. He would have been arguably the best wide receiver who played the game, potentially. Because and then, Shelby, talking about the limping and all this stuff. In a large part, Matt Ryan could be responsible for all the limping that he had to do. Because how many balls did he have to catch in the middle of the field? Or whenever you got to put up a lot of yak yards, you put yourself in more position to get hit. But imagine if Matt Ryan could throw the ball accurately and deep. How many times Julio would have never been hit?
Never touched.
Never touched. But Matt Ryan couldn't get him the ball. So if we complain about Julio's injury history, then you got to complain about Matt Ryan putting him in position to get hit all of the time because he could not throw the deep ball to Julio. And I remember one time Matt Ryan finally got the deep ball to him, and Julio was so surprised he dropped the ball.
I remember.
Because he had been accustomed to have to put the brakes on and then try to go back and get the ball. So, it's
no, look at that one right there.
With Matt Ryan, Julio would need to drink a lot. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Matt Ryan throws like a QB. It's terrible, man. It's terrible.
How many times we in Rev don't told folks this, and I'm just glad. I'm glad we actually turned and making some folks see the light.
Well, let me just
hopefully we'll have them all on our side because Matt Ryan failed this year.
let me just say this. You know, I was always on record, even before Matt Ryan signed that big contract. You know, I changed you over. You converted over it, but because we used to argue about this. But this was what I was talking about. When you pay Matt Ryan, overpay Matt Ryan, you start getting certain casualties.
Yep.
And Julio is becoming a casualty because of the Falcons overpaying Matt Ryan and then deciding to restructure his contract, making him be put on books for an additional year. This is just absolutely insane. Why the Falcons have invested so much into Matt Ryan, who has accomplished, and let me get my inner coach John Otis, who was my basketball coach at Mays High. When it comes to the playoffs and winning a championship, he's accomplished nothing. 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 Zero. We have 4 playoff wins to show for during the Matt Ryan era. He is 4-6 in the playoffs, and half of those wins came in one season. And that was the Super Bowl run. So you take out the Super Bowl run, he doesn't even average a playoff win a season. And we up here investing in mediocrity. We're happy he holds the stats for most yards as a Falcon and most touchdowns as a Falcon. The history of the Atlanta Falcons not that great.
No, we suck.
I mean, you know, it doesn't take much to get to the Ring of Honor for the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, we putting Deion in the Ring of Honor, and Deion spent more years playing for other teams than he did the Falcons.
Hey, Real, Tom Brady gonna be in the Tampa Bay. He gonna have the Tampa Bay QB record soon. Yeah, what does that say about Tampa Bay?
But check this out. Tom Brady had done more in Tampa Bay in one season than Matt Ryan has done for the Atlanta Falcons over a decade.
Yeah.
Take that for that.
Y'all two pretty much broke down. I don't need to add any more clowning to him. This is ridiculous. Matt Ryan is just killing this team. I mean, hopefully. I mean, I don't know what Pitts and Ridley. I mean, and Ridley's contract gonna be up soon. And with him being so old, I wonder how that's gonna affect his negotiation. Because Ridley almost 30 years old. If y'all didn't know that.
Well, here's the thing. That's part of the reason why Julio got to go. Because
Ridley got to get paid.
Yeah, if you're gonna keep Ridley gonna get some money.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna pay Julio that kind of money much longer because he's long in the tooth. And you said Calvin Ridley is almost 30 years old.
Yeah, he's 26. About to be 27.
Dang. What he got left back a couple of times or something, man?
Right, real. I was completely surprised when I found out. Yeah, look it up. He's definitely 26 years old. I don't know when his birthday is, but you might be turning 27.
So he was a grown man. I mean, He was like 23 when he won that championship.
Another bad move by Dimitrov, because you should have known how old that man was.
Goodness gracious. We got to see what was going on in his academic career, man, because he's been left back a couple of times, man, because this is only, his third year in the league?
Yep.
It's funny, real.
And didn't he leave early? He left as a junior.
I think so.
What?
He was a grown man before he left.
I know.
God.
President.
Man, you just hurt my heart when you said that, man. But
I thought I brought this up before. I guess y'all must slip. Y'all forgot.
Man, that's crazy. All right, let me do this real quick. We got to pause real quickly. It's the chef's birthday today. Joseph Black. Happy birthday, bro. Can y'all show some love to Joe Black? Joe Black, our chef. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to Joe Black, one of the best chefs in the nation. He has his food ministry going on in Jacksonville, Florida, and we're looking forward to taking part in the food ministry of Brother Joe Black sometime in July for our 200th show. Going back to Ridley, Ridley's age is one of the reasons why Carolina drafted more ahead of him. I got you. Now it makes sense. Good observation, Dante. And Shelby, thank you for showing Joe Black some love. Come on, Reverend Knight Nation. Y'all show Black some love. Thank you, Maurice Thrower. We appreciate it. All right, Maurice, hit Joe Black up, man. Since you're going to be in Jacksonville, Chris Traylor showing Joe Black some love. No doubt about it. Thank y'all so much, Reverend Knight Nation, for showing Joe Black some love. All right, let's shift gears real quickly. Julio wasn't even on the original plan to talk about on the show today, but, you know, we got to be able to be flexible. And we saw that there was a reaction that came from the Reverend Knight Nation. So we needed to talk about that so we could set the record straight. But this is where we were going to start our show. Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay saga. We know that this has been going on now since the NFL draft. Aaron Rodgers dropped that bombshell, letting everybody know, or letting somebody know, that he no longer wants to report to Green Bay when it's time to report for the next season. So with all the things that have been shared, we didn't really talk about this extensively, but I'm starting with Red. What are your thoughts when it comes to Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay saga?
My thoughts of Green Bay is pretty much put this on themselves. I mean, this is all on them. I mean, first of all, you start off by doing bad negotiations when his contract, when it was time for him to be extended. Then, after a 13-3 season, which ended in the NFC Championship appearance, you go and you draft Jordan Love. You trade up into the first round, wasting essentially 2 draft picks. The one you trade up for, and the pick you actually used to draft pick for Jordan Love. Because why would you draft a quarterback in the first round coming off an NFC Championship game appearance? And then what? Aaron Rodgers goes out and wins the MVP the following season. Now you're looking real stupid because you got Jordan Love when you really should be using draft picks on building, giving this man some help, building up your defense, putting depth on your offensive line, giving this man the playmakers that he very well deserves, running backs, the weapons that we giving Matt Ryan, these are the same weapons that Aaron Rodgers should have been getting over the years. I know Aaron Rodgers is looking at Atlanta Falcons like, man, I wish I had the Falcons GM instead of my GM, because the one thing the Falcons GM definitely do is definitely give Matt Ryan plenty of weapons. So I know Aaron Rodgers looking at his front office brass is like, man, WTF, because I already know he wants the GM gone. So basically, it's just a big, huge soap opera that Green Bay created on their own. They already know Aaron Rodgers is a sensitive soul. So I don't know what they thought his reaction was going to be when you consistently fail at bringing pieces to put around him. Then you make the ultimate gas and wasting a draft pick on Jordan Love. So look, bad defense, bad front office decisions, and the only thing Green Bay got to show for it is year after year a great season by Aaron Rodgers. But like we heard earlier today, people are tired of putting it all on them. They are tired of putting the weight all on their shoulders. Aaron Rodgers need a break. He needs a team that can finally build an entire team around him and not just have him holding the fort.
All right, Coach, what do you want to add on to the Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay saga?
I'm just going to call some names, and it's just a bunch of names that I'm just going to roll off.
Roll them off.
Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Reagor, Justin Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, KJ Hamler, Chase Claypool, Van Jefferson, Denzel Mims, Green Bay Packers. Red just told y'all, all those wide receivers were available to be gotten in that draft. And you go in your infinite wisdom and get Jordan Love, another quarterback. The man feel disrespected. All he's asked for, like Red said, all he's asked for is for help. His salary, he'll cut his salary, but all he said, I just need some help. Green Bay, y'all not giving him any help. Y'all basically saying, well, we got your heir apparent, so, and then what does Aaron Rodgers do, like we said? go out and get to the NFC Championship. And I guarantee you, if one Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay weren't on the other side, he'd have been in the Super Bowl. But what do you all do? You don't get anybody to help the man, and the man struggles. But on the flip side, I heard lately now, and this is, I don't know if it's breaking news or not, Aaron Jones, his running back, who talks to Aaron Rodgers a lot, said he's 70% leaning towards staying now. News for thought. Should he stay? We'll see.
Aaron Rodgers leaning to his stand?
Yes.
Somebody, one of them GMs, the front office personnel, done went to his house and probably don't apologize and got on their knees. If he trying to say, behind the scenes, he must have got what he wants. He must have got a contract extension, a promise, or something. Because the way he was feeling last week, he was on his way to Denver. Probably still is.
Looks like the Packers are playing Final Jeopardy. Man, that's funny. All right, let me ask you all about your assessment about what Charles Barkley said on yesterday on 92.9, the game here in Atlanta, Georgia. He was being interviewed by
Mike Bell.
Bell, what's the name of the show?
Oh, Dukes and Bell, not Dukes and Bell.
Yeah, Dukes and Bell. So after all of this drama that's been going on between Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, Charles Barkley said he's starting to believe that Aaron Rodgers is like that girl where you have to tell him he's pretty every day.
I just told y'all he's a sense of the soul.
So you totally agree with that assessment, Red?
Yeah. He is a. I'm about to hit y'all with the relationship stuff again, but I got to explain my point.
Shelby, brace yourself. Here it comes. Here it comes. A redism. Here it comes with the relationship.
He is a sensitive soul. That's why Aaron Rodgers and Olivia Munn, that big time actress in Hollywood, that's why they weren't gonna work out. I told y'all, look, she ain't that type. She a tough girl. She ain't gonna be rubbing and stroking Aaron Rodgers' ego. Aaron Rodgers is the type. He need that woman to just lick the butter off his fingernails every day. Oh, Aaron, it's all about you. You're so great. That's why the woman he with now, Shailene Woodley, they perfect for each other. She love Aaron Rodgers, dude. She is gonna pamper this guy. She is gonna be all about Aaron if it ain't about her movies. All day, every day. And that's what sensitive souls like Aaron Rodgers need. They need to be pampered. They need to be dogged. They need to be told how great they are all the time. And you better believe when a team like Green Bay disrespect Aaron Rodgers by going up and drafting or trading up to get a quarterback in the first round, that's like telling Aaron Rodgers, man, you are ugly. You ain't the man. We don't need you. Why we looking past you? What? You're looking past me? Morah? Me? Aaron Rodgers? You think you can do better than me? Okay, we'll see. That's who he is. And Green Bay should know this. And if you don't know it, you are blind. You obviously can't read. You're obviously not a good people person, and you're not a good judge of character. But there it is. That's who Aaron Rodgers is. Great quarterback that he is. He is a sensitive soul that has to be pampered constantly.
Two quick things to Aaron Rodgers' point of feeling disrespected. Out of the 10 last drafts in the first round, the Green Bay Packers have drafted 9 defensive players and only 1 offensive player.
And it ain't work.
10-year drafts. And guess what? The only offensive player they chose would be ultimately his replacement. Yeah. That's pure disrespect. That the only player in 10 drafts that was offensively capable was Jordan Love. That's terrible. Second point that I was going to make, and this is actually not necessarily a point, maybe a question. Do you think the reason why this saga has been going on between Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay is because they really don't have a specific owner because the citizens of Green Bay actually own the team. So therefore, they don't have like an Arthur Blank to be able to vouch for the QB or to make the statement, this is going to be our franchise player and our quarterback. So do you think that has something to do with it?
Coach, you want to say something? Because I got something.
All this talk about him being delicate and sensitive and everything, I'm going to go to your question, Rev, with another question. And it's understandable. The fans are going to back Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers, what do they call it when you have something on your side? What do they call it? He got an ace up his sleeve.
Ace in the hole.
Ace in the hole?
Yeah.
1 point. Where are you going without Aaron Rodgers as far as getting into the NFC playoffs or the championship? If he leaves, where do you go? Backwards. So he had that up his sleeve like, hey, if I leave, that's probably why, like you said, Rap, to that point of the fans being the owners, they don't want him to go. And the other people in the front office, they saying, another thing, but they do realize that if he leaves, they immediately go to the bottom of the barrel again.
And see, that's my thing, Coach. I don't understand why the front office was being so defiant to Aaron Rodgers over the year, with the exception of this particular offseason. But off seasons in the past, you remember back when Matt LaFleur came in, it was like, now don't be the problem. Like, who are you talking to? I'm Aaron Rodgers. Don't you tell me don't be the problem. I'm saying that was another thing right there. I'm sure that rubbed him the wrong way. Look, they have been constantly trying to say little smart things in the media, do what they want to do, say what they want to say, thinking Aaron Rodgers was just going to accept it. And now finally comes the offseason where he's using his leverage, and now they want to restart the butt kissing. No, you should have been butt kissing for the past 8-9 years. You should have been building a team around this guy for the past 8-9 years. It's too little, too late now. Those GMs and team presidents in Green Bay just got a little arrogant and got a little full of themselves, and now they realize they got their back against the wall because Aaron Rodgers is using his leverage and using his power, and now it's all, let's play nice, let's kiss Aaron Rodgers' butt. No, you should have been doing that from the very beginning. You should have recognized what a GM you had, but you didn't. And now, like I say, it's too late. I think it's too late, but Coach, you say you lean into it coming back, but personally, if I'm Aaron, I'll be out.
Rev, I'm gonna ask you, Rev, and I ain't mean to jump in. If you were Aaron Rodgers, based on what you just told us about no offensive players except your successor, you are Aaron Rodgers. How would you feel about that?
And you a sensitive soul.
Oh, I would have won out last year. Now, Aaron Rodgers played it well, where he did make a big stink about it. He let his game do the talking, and he goes out there and win an MVP. That gave him even more leverage, because he would have looked like a real crybaby had he raised sand right after they drafted Jordan Love. But when he put an MVP season right behind after they drafted, that made him accelerate or ascend to an even higher level, and it gives him even more leverage. So he played it right, because now he can just say, look, I won out. I played even when y'all pulled these little shenanigans. I played at an MVP level and put the team in a position to potentially win a Super Bowl. So I'm now determining what's going to go on. So he put himself definitely in a power position. He has every right to want to leave, because, once again, Drew Brees never had to worry about that in New Orleans Saints. This man could barely throw the ball, and they still were acquiescing in New Orleans to Drew Brees' desires. Tom Brady was in a different situation, because we know that Bill Belichick has no love for any particular player. He's been consistent. Every Pro Bowl player he had that was about to be long in the tooth, or he was going to have to pay him a lot of money, he got rid of them. So what he did with Tom Brady was not surprising, right? Some people say Tom Brady deserved better than that, but no, Bill Belichick was just being consistent, and he let everybody know about his consistency before he eventually let Tom Brady bounce, right? So, but when you look at like a Drew Brees, I mean, Matt Ryan hadn't even accomplished what Aaron Rodgers has accomplished as a Super Bowl champion, but Matt Ryan probably has more say-so about the Falcons roster than Aaron Rodgers. And that's a problem. You know, so the only thing that I would say is this. Aaron Rodgers definitely has to be careful in one breath because he doesn't have a no trade clause. So he can't determine where he gets traded. And the Packers could make life miserable for him and say, we'll trade you to a team that has absolutely no chance of winning the Super Bowl. So, he, you know, in one breath he has power. In the next breath, he doesn't have as much power because his fate is still in the Green Bay Packers' hands. And if the Packers dig in and say, we're not going to trade you, then he may be forced to retire and hopefully gets the job with Jeopardy.
You made a statement, Red, that I got to go back as a old school mom and daddy statement. You said he was raised insane. I ain't heard that in a long time.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, let's move on to our next topic real quickly. And that was good conversation. We're going to let you all grade your NFL teams draft. Last week when we were on the show, the draft was still going on. We were looking at the 4th through the 7th rounds that were going on. I'm not going to participate in it since Red is representing the Falcons, even though my sub team is the Kansas City Chiefs. And I love what they've done, boosting they boosted their line, and now Patrick Mahomes, if they make it to the Super Bowl with all the depth they have,
again, his head again.
with all the depth that they have at the offensive line, it's very unlikely that you will ever see Patrick Mahomes have to run for his life in any game, let alone like he did in the Super Bowl this past season. With that being said, we'll let the Pittsburgh Steelers go first since we haven't talked Pittsburgh Steelers that much since we had a Falcon segment already. So, Mr. Pittsburgh Steelers, you could wax poetically about your team's draft. I'm giving you about 2 minutes, Coach, to wax poetically. I want you to give your team a grade and then explain why you gave the team the grade that you did. Go ahead, Coach.
All right, I'm gonna give the Steelers a B, basically because you answered your running backs problem with Najee Harris. That was big time. You had to go do that. You got a couple of several offensive linemen, some which are underrated, but I think that they're gonna fit into the overall talent on the team. Now, I want to go to round 6, wait around 6, where they got the boy Quincy Roche out of Miami. He was a big-time player at Miami, and he kind of fell off because I think he got hurt. But they said the Steelers got a steal in him, and I'm going to see how good a steal it is. They talk about him a lot and say he's big-time, so we'll see. We need another linebacker behind Watt and Highsmith, so hopefully he helps us. Now, Kelly, to you, we got your punter from Georgia Tech, Presley Harvin III. Sounds like a stockbroker, Presley Harvin III, but we got him. And they say he was the leader in punt average. He was a unanimous first-team All-American, 49 yards a punt. And Jordan Berry is on his way out. But, yes, Presley Harvin III, we hope he can help us, Kelly. But overall, I say I give us a B because we addressed several things. So not a B plus, but I thought we could have gotten another, secondary guy. We got Trey Norwood in the 7th round. I thought we could have helped the secondary because they're not sold on Edmonds, and we lost a couple of guys. So hopefully these guys round out into shape.
All right, before we move on, Coach, you don't think that's a generous grade for your team, especially since you had running back problems, but part of the reason why you had running back problems is because your offensive line wasn't that good. So how did the team address the line problem? It wasn't just one lineman. And then also you all lost arguably one of your better linemen in Pouncey, who retired. So you don't think that grade was a bit generous?
That's why I said just straight B. Well, I can even say B minus, but That
So let me go back. Let me go back. So I would go closer to B minus. I would actually go C.
Mhm.
And reason being, I don't know why you would draft, your team drafted a tight end in the second round before they drafted a lineman.
Well, I guess because Ebron had a lot of issues, and this kid Fryermuth was the second highest. He was behind Pitts as the second highest tight end, and the Steelers run a lot of tight end sets. So I guess you got to take. They say he's a great blocker, and that's what they're going to need with those tight end sets. And they improved, in my opinion. Helping running back, tight end, offensive line. Green is a sneaky good pick. They said that he's a 3-year starter. He can play guard or center. So, and Tomlin spent time with him to see what he can do. So, he's not gonna be Pouncey, but I think he can come in and do a serviceable job. Ben get the ball off pretty fast, so all they need to do is give him a little time because he only got sacked 13 times last year.
But coach, you're talking about the passing game once again. Tight end sets, passing game. Your problem was the running game. So, yeah, get a good tight end who could catch the ball, but you couldn't run the ball. Drafting Harris is not going to automatically solve your running woes if he doesn't have a line to block for him. And if he doesn't have a line to block for him, he's more susceptible to big hits, which he's already going to take just by virtue of his position. So this is why I don't know if I could go along with the B, because, again, you all really should have drafted a lineman in the first round. Harris is there. He's the best talent at running back. All right, understand that. But second and third round probably should have been linemen. That's the only reason why I question the B, because you can get a tight end. It's not like the tight end that they draft is going to be the focal point for their offense. We already know better than that. He's not going to have a Pitts type impact. We already know the Falcons have drafted Pitts in mind to be one of the focal points of their offense. That's why they're shopping Julio around. So that's a totally different ball game from the tight end that the Steelers drafted. So I just question the Steelers not going linemen second and third round. And you go tight end when, they got a serviceable tight end, but you can't run the ball. And if you're going to get Harris, get some people who can block for him. Yeah, last word. You got last word.
It's a wait and see thing. Like you said, you should have. I thought they was going to get Humphrey out of Alabama. They missed him, and but a lot of people are saying a lot of good things about Green, saying he can be a good center. He can get into development. Now, a lot of it's going to depend on these two new coaches we got. We got a new offensive coordinator and a new line coach. How do they do in working to get these guys ready to play? It's a lot of it's going to fall on them. You got new people at new positions, and that's going to be determined early if it's success or not. So wait and see.
All right, and those persons in the Revenant Nation, you can feel free to put your team's grade down, and we'll read them once we get through with getting Red's assessment of his Atlanta Falcons. So, Red, it's on you. What grade would you give the Atlanta Falcons on their draft?
Okay, 1 second, Red. I gave him a B last week when I was doing. That was my initial thinking. I guess I'm not too far, but I guess my final grade was a B minus. I heard a lot of folks last week saying A plus, A minus. I know a lot of people were looking at these various websites, Yahoo.com, CBS Sports, and all of these NFL.com, various websites, slurping all over the Falcons, and the Falcons had a great draft. A plus, A minus. Woohoo, man! Please. Take a chill pill. Relax. Let's think about this for a minute. Now, do I think the Falcons drafted some solid players? Yeah, I do. But But it's one position the Falcons failed to acknowledge in the draft that I was hoping they would acknowledge, and I was hoping they would acknowledge in the second round, and they was pretty much in position to acknowledge it, and they did not. And not only didn't they traded a pick, and then the pick was used on the position that I thought they should have picked. But hey, we got undrafted free agencies, we got other running backs on the team. We'll see how that all pans out. But that contributes to my minus part. Because you didn't draft the running back, I felt we should have got somewhere in this draft. If not the second or third round, definitely later in the draft. And I see we failed to get it anywhere in the draft. So I hope you got a plan, Falcons, for this running game, because you better believe I will hark back to this moment if our running game is below average this season. Best believe that, okay? But as far as the picks go, you went Kyle Pitts, number one. I mean, I can't laugh at that picks. I was shocked you went for a safety in round 2, but this Richie Grant kid, I've hearing a lot of positive things about him. Louis Riddick was slurping all over him, so I gotta give Louis Riddick the benefit of the doubt. So my hopes are high for this kid. Pretty optimistic. You went Jalen Mayfield from Michigan in round 3. Pretty good offensive line depth he'll add to the team. I already thought our offensive line was solid. Hopefully he'll add more depth. Let me stop saying that word. Depth to my offensive line. Okay. We grabbed Darren Hall out of San Diego State, a pick I disagreed with. You guys know how I feel about West Coast players. I always feel it's a better cornerback you can take from an HBCU school or the SEC. We'll see how that pick pans out. You grabbed offensive lineman from Stanford. Now, I'm not too poo-poo on that pick because, number one, I respect David Shaw. Stanford is a respected school in the Pac-12, so I'm optimistic about that pick. Taquan, the defensive lineman we got from Texas, very optimistic about that pick. See, the Terry is trying to build the offensive and defensive lines up. I got to respect that. You grab the edge rusher from Notre Dame. What I'm hearing from my Notre Dame fans is he's a little streaky. He's solid. He's not above average, but he's not below average. Average to mediocre. I can't really get high on that till I see the kid play. Hopefully they're wrong about the average part, but I'm optimistic about that pick. Avery Williams for Boise State, not too optimistic. But Frank Darby from Arizona State, very optimistic about that pick. But more so when I heard his interview on 92.9 this week. He's a good kid, a real character. I'm actually kind of intrigued to have him part of my Falcons team. So overall, Rev, it seemed like Terry Fontenot built up. He focused on the lines of scrimmage, which you can't be mad at him. You got to respect them because we all know we've been criticizing our lines of scrimmage throughout the years. So personally, I'm going to stick with my B-. And I definitely hope that the Falcons have a plan for this running game. But overall, if 3 or 4 of these picks pan out, I might have to improve my grade. But definitely a B- as of now.
Now, I guess you're not too happy with the signing of Mike Davis, because that's partly how they addressed the running back situation. They gave him a 2-year contract, $5.5 million. As I'm looking at the stats right now, remember, he only had part-time duty because he played with the Carolina Panthers last year. We know that he was the backup initially until Christian McCaffrey got hurt. So this dude rushed 165 times for 642 yards, 6 touchdowns, which made him the 31st ranked running back in the league in part-time duty. So
what was his yards per carry?
His yards per carry, we're looking at Mike Davis. Hold on just a second. I scrolled up for just a second. His yards per carry was 3.9 yards per carry.
When we initially signed him, I wasn't thinking Michael Turner. But I was happy because he's an addition to the team. But I wasn't thinking Michael Turner as far as like a every down back. But I do think he'll be a very valuable piece to the offense with Arthur Smith. I still think we need another back to go with him.
Well, you got to give Quadri Collison a chance. You got to give him a chance.
I got no choice but to give him a chance.
Yeah, but I mean, you got Mike Davis, who's already shown himself to be solid. Let's not get
Mike Davis now. I'm sold on Mike Davis. I'm not sold on Allison or whatever his name
Yeah.
is.
Well, the thing is, we know that the Falcons are not trying to make their bread and butter the running game, right? So therefore, you got
to now. Austin Smith.
Hold on for a second. You gotta you're putting your money in Pitts. You're putting your money in Ridley. It's still question about Julio. So we know the running game is important, but we got to understand personnel. Let's not get it twisted. There's a huge difference between the Titans and the Falcons. We don't have Derrick Henry. So there's a huge difference. That's why the focus had to be on the running game in Tennessee, because Derrick Henry is the franchise player for that team. In Tennessee, they weren't expecting Ryan Tannehill to do what the Falcons expect Matt Ryan to do. So personnel situations are totally different. That's why there's a huge emphasis on the running game in Tennessee, because their very best offensive player was the running back. That's not the case here in Atlanta. So you don't have to go as big time at that position, because the running back is not the focal point for the Falcons offense. It's clearly your quarterback and your possession receivers. So this is why I could see why the Falcons would not invest a second round or even third round draft pick on a running back after they just signed Mike Davis, because that's not where the emphasis is. And I think we got to see if Quadri Collison or Ellison, whatever his last name is, I think it's Collison, but we have to see if he has anything in the tank. And obviously, since he's still on the roster, because he could be easily cut, it's not like he has a huge cap hit. Obviously, the Falcons' new staff may see some potential in him. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they could do something with him that the previous staff could not do with him. So that's why I'm not going to poo-poo. And I would give the Falcons a B+ in their draft, because the safety, they had to replace Keanu Neal. Everybody's high on the kid that they drafted in the second round. You got Pitts. So you got Pitts to be able to play for now if you're trying to compete now, and then also for the future, because you can play day one. So I like what the Falcons did for the most part. We don't know what these draft picks are going to turn out to be, but I think the Falcons address need. They got another cornerback, they got another offensive tackle, and they got a defensive tackle. They're in the later rounds. I put a lot more value on the first 2 to 3 rounds. And I kind of grade draft picks based upon that. Even though the later rounds you create depth, or you are, possibly getting some guys that you can work with, and they could potentially be solid players in the years to come. But I think the first 2 picks, they did real well.
Rev, I need to take offense that you give them a B+, you give us a C. I don't understand it. Where is this coming from? I think it's prejudice. I think you're still with the Falcons. You're not with Kent. No, stop. I'm just playing.
No, I express myself real well. We know the line was you all's problem, and you all waited to the third round to address your line. So that's why I could not give you. All right, so Miss Williams gave us gave the Falcons a grade C. Let me go to some of these other players, and then Red, you can have to find a word. Lance Bilbrew graded his Rams a B, first round pick again, of course, but that was flipped last year for Ramsey. Oh, he said no first round pick. That was flipped for Ramsey. Decent picks from second on down. All right. That's a good way of looking at Ramsey being your draft pick for this year. Maurice Thrower had to give us his Miami Dolphins observation. Gave him a B+. Drafting Waddle was sorely needed, but I wish they got Najee Harris with our second first round pick. But I like that they drafted with a plan in place. And Miami's starting to be sneaky good. They went 10-6 last year, and now you get a phenomenal player like Waddle, and hopefully he'll be healthy. And they definitely got a target that Tua is familiar with. The question is Tua the real deal? That's the question. When they were even contemplating looking at one of these other QBs that came into the draft, you got to question, do they really believe in Tua? Also, during several games last year, they benched Tua. So there's a huge question mark if Tua is really the man. And I will say this. That's the blessing behind what the NFL did, diminishing the numbers or decreasing the numbers of these rookie salaries. That was the best thing that the NBA did, the NFL did, because it was ridiculous giving these kids these type of contracts who had never played a down in football. They get more money than people who had already established themselves. So now they can cut bait earlier if a particular player doesn't pan out, just like we saw with Josh Rosen and other in Miami, and then other players as well. It's a good thing that these NFL players don't have to stay married to these players who are unproven. Any closing words on this?
Oh yeah, definitely. First of all these folks giving a team an A. I don't know how you can give a team an A when you ain't seen none of these draft picks perform yet. Really, to me, the highest grade you should be able to go in the draft is a B, meaning you think they're going to turn out wisely, but you can't go an A until you actually see these guys perform on the field. Now, we ask you this time next year, what did you think about that draft? After you've seen the guys play and perform after a year, then you can say A plus, A minus. But all this A right after the draft, man, please save it. And as far as the running back situation go, well, we all know the Falcons have done this before. Let a running back sit on the bench 2 years, and then the next regime come in. That running back has 2 straight 1,000-yard seasons, resulting in a Super Bowl appearance. That was Devontae Freeman. So hopefully history can repeat itself with Quadri Allison. Now, personally, I don't think so, but I'm hoping out hope. But like I say, I'm very optimistic about this season, you guys. I'm not going into it with my usual negativity like I have the previous two. This time, I'm going to be optimistic because I actually want to make the playoffs this season.
All right. And with Red's optimism about his Falcons, we're going to pause right here because it is officially halftime of the Red and Rev Sports Show. We got some more sports talk coming your way. We're going to be talking a lot of basketball. Then we got a little football topic to add on to the football talk that we had on today. So hang on, hang out with your boys, Red Rev and Coach, for one more half of the Red and Rev Sports Show, coming to you in just one moment. And we're back. Halftime is over. And I was just thinking about, as I reminisce, normally there would be a beat that Coach would seek to freestyle to. That's one of the things that I do miss from not being in person. And we're going to have to make room for Coach to rap for episode 200. So,
Okay.
Coach, get your bars ready for episode 200 because we will not go into the next century of shows
Right.
without getting a good rap from Coach.
Go to be ready for 200. Everybody stop, because here we go. We go jam. And we
All right.
hey, we're gonna be Black's neighborhood.
All right. And sum up, always give room for growth when grading. That sounds like a teacher statement, Mrs. Ellie Von Williams. And we got somebody from YouTube asking the question, which player do you think is better, Bojan or Bogdan? We're going to get to that in just a moment. We'll answer that question in just a minute from YouTube.
You already know who I'm going to say.
Yeah, we know that. And then Thomas Holcomb says, flips on the TV, the Mongolian giraffe throat singing. All right. And then, okay. And Red, when you see Red and Rev Sports Show, that would be Red commenting. So his thoughts are not the thoughts of the complete show. I just want y'all to know that. I'll just mess with you. But let's go into another quick football topic real quickly. And the NFL draft and HBCUs this year, no HBCU players were drafted. And Deion Sanders felt some kind of way about it. I'm going to start with Red first on this particular topic. Do you have any beef with the NFL because no HBCU players were drafted in this 2021 draft? What says you?
I most certainly have some beef. Especially, like I say, look, I understand they trying to get the best kids possible, and we know a lot of the best athletes in the nation go to a lot of FBS Division I schools. I understand that. Rounds 1 through 3. When we get to the later rounds 4 through 7, that's when your time to use your scouts. That's when you go to your scouts. That's when you start taking chances, taking a few risks, giving some kids an opportunity. And you go through the entire draft rounds. Just take rounds 4 through 7. Not one kid from any HBCU school is warranted a draft pick. That is absolutely ridiculous and absolutely just being neglectful. Scouts are being neglectful. They're really not doing their jobs. They're not. I don't know what it is, why they don't feel these kids deserve an opportunity, because I promise you there are some really good, solid, decent, probably great football players we are bypassing and not giving an opportunity to because these NFL teams got their minds so focused on FBS Division I. And I just don't understand it. You should at least, every football team should have 1 or 2 scouts that they use to go out just to the HBCU schools. You mean you can't afford as much money as these teams have? You can't afford a couple of scouts to go to the HBCU games, the HBCU conferences? Now, even if you don't go to every game, how about just the big games? Like the Southern Classic, some of these big classic tournaments you can go to. Please, I know you got scouts that can attend these games and seek out some of these players to give them an opportunity for NFL stars. I disagree with it. I'm not down with it. I think Deion had every right to complain. I wish more coaches from those HBCU schools would come out and complain. I wish more players would come out and get their voices heard, because all of these kids deserve a fair opportunity, and I just don't think they're getting it, especially from HBCU schools. The NFL is a predominantly 75% Black league. There's no excuse you shouldn't have scouts seeking kids at this school for talent.
Coach, jump in. Your thoughts. Is this a story or non-story this year?
It's kind of a story, but nobody can really say anything about the HBCU players being drafted because, let me put my quotes up. Coach Prime always has to jump in and take the spotlight from everybody and express his thoughts before anybody else can say anything. He's going to be the first one to jump in there. But there's another factor that people didn't think about that hurt the HBCUs, and that was coronavirus. The coronavirus stopped a lot of showcases for the HBCU players. They couldn't be held because of the coronavirus. And then on top of that, in a way, playing this spring football kind of hurt them too. It kind of took away. I mean, instead of you getting ready for the draft, you playing spring football, and I don't know if they deem you eligible to be drafted. So those factors, it was a bad thing that nobody got drafted, but those things kind of contributed to the slowdown of people being picked by the NFL. And a lot of folks, some black coaches that don't want to talk about that, but those things were contributing factors to me.
Yeah, I think this is where you have to consider the context. And our coach brought up a good point about the context. Coronavirus changed the game for black colleges this year. They did not play their traditional fall football. They played spring football. So while on one hand, it helped them because they got more exposure than they would normally get on television, it hurt them when it comes to being able to be evaluated. I do believe, as Red made mention of it, I do believe, Red, that they do invest money during the season to go see black college football, especially if they've heard of some prospects. Again, remember, most times NFL scouts would be traveling during the fall season. The spring season, they are evaluating potential draft picks. You got to think about it. Think about it. The draft is an arduous process. Their season ends in January. The draft doesn't happen until April. So you're talking about 3 months of digging and researching and bringing those guys in, where you can evaluate them beyond their pro days and so forth and so on. So it is an arduous process. And the HBCU players didn't get a chance to go through all of that because while they would normally be evaluated for the draft, they were trying to play. And if you are a scout, you're not going to watch spring football when you got all of these guys you need to evaluate. Go ahead, Ray. You done pointed at your head about 10 times. Go ahead.
I completely forgot the coronavirus factor in this, so now I feel like a complete bonehead. But that definitely had probably some. I mean, as far as 0 players being selected, because usually you get maybe 1 or 2, but we had 0. So I would think that you guys definitely made excellent points.
And it's not surprising that 0 players did not get drafted because there was not the evaluation process. Like, I can't remember, and Coach, he's been paying attention to black college football for a long, long time.
I knew it. I thought you were going to say a year or something.
Yeah, he has AARP status, so he's been watching black college football for a long, long time. I can't recall, can you, when a black college football player left college early to declare for the draft and they were a first-round pick? I don't ever hear that story. So for the black college football players, since the competition is not as on the level as your Power 5 conferences, this is why they have to stay in for 4 years, where these NFL scouts get 4 years of evaluation or however long they played. So this year, coronavirus definitely did something. And this is where we as black people have to make sure we just don't start beating a drum that is unnecessary to beat, okay? Because we can't just sit up there and cry foul every time something happens, because then that will cause us to lose our credibility when we do say something that really makes sense. So it's like even in your relationships, you got to choose your battles. And this particular battle was not a battle to fight. And I think, to Coach's point, this was more of a publicity stunt for Deion Sanders to get back into the news, as opposed to it really having any true merit. And I digress.
When you say that, it just makes me go back, and I date myself. I go back to me and my classmate, Jerry Rice, was at Valley. He would not have gotten picked that high if they had played in the spring. Now, they played in the fall. and they put up those numbers, 49 points a game, all that stuff. People got to see him in the fall, and those scouts had time to say, okay, that's going to be a good ball player. And that's how he got picked 16th by the 49ers, because people got to see him in the fall. If Corona had come on and he wasn't playing in the fall, they would never see. He would have been, I guess, maybe almost picked in the last round, or maybe have to get a free agent contract. But that's the thing: no fall football, no sight. Pretty much.
I wouldn't have minded the way he killed my Falcons through the years. Maybe he wouldn't have got picked by the 49ers.
That's an excellent point. All right, gentlemen, we talked football most of the show. Now it's time.
Yes.
Talk some basketball. The season is starting to come to an end, and the question is it the end for some teams like the Lakers? We know it may be the end to them repeating, but also it's positioning time. Positioning time. So we are going to see where we are, and lo and behold, coaches, Washington Wizards are indeed in the conversation. About a month ago, we would not have believed it, but we're here. So let's talk about NBA playoff positioning, and then we're going to ask the question, which team has a better chance of doing something in the playoffs and advancing? Who would have ever thought that the Lakers would be in the conversation with the Wizards and the Hawks? So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. So let's talk in the NBA playoff positioning. Coach, I'm going to start with you. And I know you tried to keep quiet about the Wizards. You would talk about the Wizards behind closed doors, but this is a sports show. You have talked them up to be able to be talked about on this show. As of today, the Wizards have played 67 games with 5 more to go. They are 31-36 with the new play-in game. They hold the 10th position, so they would be in the play-in game, and it looks pretty much like they are going to clinch at least the 10th seed, could go as high as probably the 9th seed, maybe the 8th seed, but they are pretty much a lock to be in the play-in game. So, Coach, what do you expect your Wizards to be able to do? Will they go beyond the play-in game? Talk to us.
Well, here we go. I've been avoiding it, but now I'm finna jinx them. They're gonna make the playoffs, because the Pacers, I don't see the Pacers being able to beat them if they had to play a first round game. They pretty much, I think, can handle the Pacers. They got a pretty mild schedule. Well, it's kind of tough. 3 out of 5 games. You got one with Indiana, which I think that's tonight, which is going to be big going toward them moving up. They can move up to the 9th seed. Then they got 2 tough ones at Atlanta, and which is going to be really interesting to see how they play. Then they got Cleveland. Where's Armani? They got Cleveland, which is going to be a cakewalk. And then they got Charlotte, who is one of the tougher teams in the league, who has come on big time. Now, will they get out of that play-in tournament? Yeah, I think they can get out of the play-in tournament. It depends. I mean, if they have to play Indiana, I don't see Indiana being able to beat them. Now, once they get in there, of course, then you have to play one of the big boys, the 76ers, Brooklyn, or Milwaukee, which is going to be tough. But, hey, let the chip fall where they may. They beat tough teams before. So let the chip forward. Well, they may have to. All I want to do is get in, and then we'll see what happens.
All right. Now, Red, let's move on. Let's move to your Lakers. The Lakers have officially entered play-in game status. They hold the 7th seed. They are 1 game behind the Portland Trail Blazers. It looks like they will probably go no lower than the 7th seed. they could go no higher than the 5th seed with 5 games to play. So what is the fate of your Lakers right about now?
Man, I never would have imagined that I would have preferred to talk Hawks before my Lakers, man. I wouldn't even want to talk my Lakers right now, man. Okay. What was your question, Rev? What's the fate?
What is the fate of the Lakers?
Rev, if you ask me today, I give you an answer. You ask me in a few days, my answer might be different. If you ask me last week, my answer might be different. After watching what I don't watch the past 2 games, the fate is not it's a dark fate. I tell you, a real dark fate. I thought we would be able to overcome some of these injuries. I thought LeBron would have been back by now, that we'd be gearing up for our playoff run, just, going through the motions, even if not winning all the games, but just getting ourselves mentally and physically prepared for another playoff run. First of all, I have no idea what's going on with LeBron's ankle. For all I know, something else could be hurting him. AD, dude, is mentally weak. He's a physical magnet. Anytime something barely touches him, he goes down, and there's no guarantee if he's going to get back up again. So, and without AD and LeBron, you add Drummond to this team, you might well just call us the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Detroit Pistons, because without AD and LeBron, it's pretty much how we've been playing. Andre Drummond has turned us into one of his loser teams of the Eastern Conference. I don't believe in him right now, Rev. I don't think we could do anything right now. The playoffs start today. I don't think we win around, especially without LeBron. We ain't winning nothing. Even if AD there, we're not winning anything. With LeBron coming back, I mean, his age, he can't just come back and just gel real quickly. It takes some time at his older age, I believe. I'm not gonna sit up here and act like I'm in fantasy land and say, "Oh yeah, LeBron come back and right away we'll be right back to the team we were." No, things don't happen like that. That's why I was hoping he'd be back by now, so we'd be getting ready for this run. If he don't come back soon, I can pretty much tell you we ain't winning anything. If he does come back, say this coming week, it's a chance, but the man is coming from an ankle injury, and he came back last time and he re-injured again. How do I know he's going to hold up the rest of the season all the way through a tough and physical Western Conference playoff run? I don't. Rev, I don't have too much positive to say about the Lakers right now. They just not playing good basketball. I'm not going to sit up here and live in fantasy land and be just a super fan right now. I'm saying right now, I have no idea. If you put a gun to my head, I don't think we're gonna do anything right now. I don't think we could get past the first round where we playing, especially with the injuries. I think the injuries may have finally caught up to us. I think this shortened NBA season with the lack of a proper off season has finally caught up to us. And I'm just extremely disappointed in my Lakers right now. I'm just extremely disappointed where we stand.
Now, are you disappointed with the team, or are you more disappointed that it's happened? Their season has happened in the way it has because they were not able to get a proper offseason?
Probably a combination of both, but more so toward the latter. We didn't have a proper offseason. We won a championship in October, and we was put back on the court within about a month.
Yeah.
I mean, usually LeBron and then for somebody his age, I mean, he got 3-4 months off before we went to the bubble. He needed that same amount of time off because it's like they dedicated so much energy when they got in the bubble. Then they was away from their families for so long. And yeah, they need at least 2 or 3 months off to get themselves, to get their bodies back right again, to get their family situations back whole again. You got to think these guys was away from their families. They didn't even see their families for months. And then they go home and then it's right back away. It's time to go back to camp again. So yeah, I don't think this was a proper offseason for LeBron and other players throughout the NBA. And that's why we're having so many injuries in the NBA right now. And that's why I remember you made a take on your Facebook page that the NBA is watered down right now because of the lack of a proper offseason. And we're having so many injuries and players sitting out, whether it's for load management or various other issues. So it's just disappointing right now, real.
Yeah, and you're looking at in a traditional season, the season would end in June, and they would not report back to camp until September. That's 3 months. And with the kind of basketball they're playing, you got to give your body a rest. And it was clear that the NBA chose money and chose to satisfy their media markets than they did the safety and the well-being of the players. Because you can't ask, because here's the other thing, even though they went in the bubble, they didn't have to travel as much. In the bubble, they were playing every other day. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of toll on your body when you're playing every other day for the most part. So definitely a team like the Lakers where your best player is an aging player, and then when your second best player is a brittle player, that's not a great combination. You need all the time off as possible, and therefore, because that didn't happen, the Lakers are a casualty, and maybe the NBA is going to be hurt because you want the Lakers to be relevant. You want the Lakers to make a huge run because they are, the darlings of the NBA. They have the most prestige as an NBA team. Go ahead, Coach. What you got to say?
I personally think, and I know everybody won't think anything of this or say no. I think this should be LeBron's last year. I really do, because you want to go into the rest of your life, feeling, somewhat healthy, but all these injuries keep piling up on him. And like you said, an aging player. Yeah, I mean, I hate if you don't win it that you don't go out on top, but I just think it may be a little too much for him to try to keep being the best player every night on every given day.
Well, I think that's a great point. While at the same time, I think LeBron, with the injuries, and let's just say he's been dealing with injuries 2 of the past 3 seasons, major injuries, 2 of the past 3 seasons. First year as a Laker, that's when he went down and he wasn't himself. And then, but last year he comes back, wins the championship. Then this year he has a major injury, and it just so happened it happened against the Hawks in LA when Solomon Hill rolled his ankle. Who would have ever known that injury would have been the issue? But I think
the Hawks don't prepare why they don't went down.
Right. I think LeBron has to, if he wants to fulfill the contract extension that he signed with the Lakers, I think he has an additional 3 years after this year.
Oh, God.
He's going to have to make adjustments to his play.
Yeah, well, yeah.
He's going to have to not be so ball dominant. He is going to have to learn how to use post moves, perfect his jumper in order to extend his career where he can still play at a high level. Now, to your point, Coach, if he chooses to still play basketball the way he's been playing basketball, then he needs to go out real quickly, because he cannot be that ball dominant if he plans on staying in the league. And this is why it's going to be interesting to see what the Lakers would do with Dennis Schroeder, because will they keep Dennis Schroeder? Because Dennis would probably have to become a more dominant ball handler and the traditional point guard in order for the Lakers to be able to win with the LeBron while he's aging. So that's the Lakers have some interesting decisions that they have to make, especially with Dennis Schroeder, because he's a free agent after this year. Red, you got
Lonzo back.
Bring who?
Lonzo back.
Lonzo Ball. Wow. Really?
Yeah.
That ain't gonna happen though. But
I'll take him back in a heartbeat.
You take Lonzo over Dennis?
I mean, we can't work it out with Dennis. I bring him. I'm saying, look, if Dennis comes back, I wouldn't poo-poo it because he's a good piece. But if we can't work it out, I definitely take old Lonzo back. Because I know at least I got somebody at the point guard position that know what to do with the ball. I ain't saying he's the greatest point guard, but he knows how. He's a decent enough floor general. And he ain't got Stan Van Gundy yelling at him every 5 minutes. Frank Vogel ain't going to be in his ear every 2 seconds. Come, timeout! What are you doing, Alonzo?
Red, I don't know if I would want Lonzo. Lonzo does not have the heart that Dennis Schroeder has.
Well, playing with LeBron, he will. Yeah, I'm with you right there. But a lot of
Yeah.
players don't have the heart until they start playing with Clanky.
Yeah. Didn't he already have the chance to play with LeBron?
that was a different team. You gotta think they needed Lonzo to trade to get Anthony Davis over here, and now he's just coming back solo. I'm saying we're not trying to use him for a trade package. He's coming back because obviously it ain't working. You think it's working in New Orleans?
It's kind of difficult to make that assessment because they're still a young team. So it's kind of, hard to make that assessment. I don't think he's playing.
If you ask me right now, I bet you Alonzo would prefer playing in Cali with the Lakers again.
Can he handle the pressure playing in Cali? That's the question, though.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's a good point.
Go ahead, Coach.
That Van Gundy with that voice and that crying. Dwight,
Dwight, come on, Dwight.
you hurt your
face. Zion, my boy getting killed in the paint.
All right.
Look what Lance said, Ray.
Also from Keno Hill. Duh. Okay. So is his brother. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
all right,
his brother got the Hornets balling.
Here's the question now. Who goes farther? Wizards, Lakers, or Hawks?
Whew.
Coach, I want you to go first. I want to see how objective you are.
I already put it out there. The Hawks are not going to have as tough a road as the Wizards. The Wizards got to go through a play-in game, a tournament. Plus, then you turn around and play one of the top 3 seeds in the East, so that immediately eliminates them. Now, Lakers is going to be health determinant, with right now ain't looking too good for their health. So it's probably going to be the Hawks.
Okay. All right. Red.
Huh?
Do you amen Coach's observation?
For the 3rd time today. Coach, man, Red, we're going to have to give Coach a new nickname on this show, man, because I am hallelujah to a lot of his takes. Yeah, when you look at it like that, yeah. I mean, because the Wizards, if they make the playoffs, they'll end up playing with Philly or the Bucks. Even though that might not be bad matchups, but we'll see. But still, nobody's going to predict them to beat those teams. The Lakers, they may, like you say, Red, they may not even make it out of the play-in tournament the way they playing. I mean, we don't know what's going on with LeBron. Health-wise, we just don't know where they stand. The Hawks are the healthiest team. The Hawks are pretty much playing the best out of all 3 of the teams right now. And if they get in a 4 or 5 matchup with the Knicks, I like that. I like my team's chances. So, right now, if you ask me right now, I say the Hawks go further than the Wizards. Or, I can't believe I'm saying this, or my Lakers right now, I would say the Hawks, because the Lakers ain't beating anybody. Wizards, they are beating teams, but, they still a 9th, 10th AC seeded team. The Hawks are probably the best team out of this bunch right now. The Hawks would probably go further.
All right, and I think I'm making it a unanimous decision. Now the question would be, as I put this on the table, the Hawks in the playoffs, what is their ceiling? We talked about earlier how one person put 20 grand on them going and winning the Eastern Conference Finals, and then another 20 grand going to the NBA Finals. I'm going to start off with my take, and I'll let you all critique my take. I think the ceiling is the 2nd round for the Atlanta Hawks. That's the ceiling. When the Hawks are playing their best, they're shooting the lights out with Bogan, Bogdanovic. He's been on fire lately, shooting the rock. Gallinari has been shooting well. They got Sweet Lou. That's been a huge pickup. And the Hawks have definitely developed a good 10-man rotation without Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter. They've been able to compose their roster to have a similar makeup with their first unit and second unit. So they have the shot blocker in Capella. You got the versatile 4 with John Collins, and you got Bogey, who can shoot the ball. Then you got Tony Snell, who's doing well, shooting the ball, pleasant surprise. Then you got Trae Young being the playmaker. Then in the second unit, you got a similar makeup. You got Sweet Lou, who is the playmaker. Then you got Herder, who can shoot the rock. Gallinari, which is somewhat a versatile four, doesn't have the athleticism that John Collins has. And then you got now Okongwu, who is playing well as an NBA rookie, and he's the shot blocker that Capella is, and he can do some things around the basket. And then you can insert Solo, who, you know, shoots the ball relatively well. So you have a good 10-man rotation. The major problem that I see with the Hawks when you start going past the second round, so second round would probably put them against Philadelphia, who has Embiid, or the Nets, who have Durant, Kyrie, or the Bucks, who have the Greek Freak, Drew Holiday, and Middleton. Is all three of those teams have something the Hawks don't have, and that is someone who can get buckets. And that you want somebody who can make the game easier on your team as you go on. You live and die by the jump shot. You got to have somebody who can draw fouls. The best persons for them to be able to do that happen to play the one position. And unfortunately, when you got someone who's your best playmaker at the one position, that allows for teams defensively to be able to guard against that a little bit better because you have people who could be put in help position. The thing that's good about the Greek Freak being the main player to get buckets for the Bucks and Embiid getting buckets for the Sixers is that they can get buckets from multiple areas on the court. They can go down low, they can go outside, so forth and so on. Same thing with Kevin Durant. And that is the problem with the Atlanta Hawks. They don't have that wing player or post player that can go get buckets without it coming from the system when they're passing the ball around, which is a good system, but there's going to come a time the shot clock goes down or your jump shot's not working. You got to have somebody who can go get buckets. And unfortunately, their bucket getters happen to play the one position, which is the easiest position for a team to play help defense. This is why, for me, the Hawks ceiling is only the second round. Any critique?
You made some good points for the most part. I have to agree. I got one exception to that. I agree that the Hawks ceiling is the second round, pending that they play in Brooklyn or the Sixers. If playing the Bucks, I think the Hawks ceiling could be the East Finals. I don't know, but for some reason, I think the Hawks could handle the Bucks. I think the Bucks are a choking team, especially when the postseason begins. Like I say, they can do it all in the regular season, but they have yet to make the NBA Finals. Last year, they didn't even make the Eastern Conference Finals. If the Hawks were to have a chance to get by any team in the second round, it would definitely be Coach's Buds, Milwaukee Bucks. Don't see them getting past the Nets in the second round. Don't see them getting past the Sixers in the second round. If they did, it would be a very pleasant surprise. Milwaukee, I think they could make that a very competitive series. And a very competitive series goes 6-7 games. 6-7 games, anything can happen. So I agree with you, with the exception if they played the Bucks in the second round.
Coach, do you agree with Red's assessment that the Hawks could take the Bucks out?
I disagree with both of you. No, the thing that's gonna doom the Hawks, you said it already. The shooting, the inconsistency sometimes might hurt them because they go out and beat Portland and Phoenix, but then you lose to Indiana. You go out and beat Miami and Milwaukee, then you lose to Detroit. You can't do that if you're planning on being a good ball team, planning on going far. Your consistency cannot be that lopsided. I mean, it's in far and few between, but they can play the Bucks. Now beating the Bucks, that series I can automatically say that one's gonna go 7.
You said it would go 7?
It'll go 7 because both are you know, they both look like same time they live and die by the three almost. Now, Milwaukee, I think, got a better inside, but
I think Milwaukee defend. They are one of the worst teams in the NBA at defending the 3-point shot, coach.
yeah, but sometimes the 3-point shot defends itself. If you can't make them, then you know you defend yourself sometimes. And I can't. I don't know if predict the winner now. I would not sleep if I were the Hawks on the New York Knicks, because the Knicks have a rugged team, one of those hardcore defensive teams that ain't gonna let you just score at will. You know, the Knicks are tough, and they and Thibodeau, if you know if one thing he does preach, he preaches defense. So hey, that's gonna be the thing. Can the Hawks get those putbacks or second shot? Can they go down there and get one shot and that's it?
It ain't helping them on their West Coast trip so far, but I understand what you're saying. Talk about the Knicks.
Yeah, well, the Knicks match up well against the Hawks.
They do. Yeah. That one might go 7-2.
They have the personnel to be able to combat where the Hawks are strong, and they have people that they could put on. They have good depth at the guard position, and that's where the Hawks' major playmakers are. You know, Payton is solid defensively. He works well in Thibodeau's system, the point guard, Elger Payton. And then you got Derrick Rose coming off the bench, who gives them scoring pop. You know, and he's still got some left in the tank. And then Julius Randle is tough to deal with. And that's one player the Hawks don't have anybody who can match up with him, because he has enough ball handling skills where he can take the ball on the perimeter and create his own shot. His 3-point shot has gotten better this year. So now he's a 3-point shot, and that's what makes the Knicks such a tough draw for the Atlanta Hawks, because they don't have that defensive player that can contain Julius Randle. So therefore, you know, I mean,
they DeAndre Hunter is real. What you think about him?
Well, Hunter can help on the perimeter. I think if Randle takes him down low, that's a different story. So that's where he would hurt. But, you know, the Knicks definitely could make the Hawks seal in the first round.
Yeah.
Because the Knicks.
That's about, they're going to end up playing the Knicks possibly. So Hawks going to have to beat them.
The Hawks had them this year, 0-3.
Yeah.
Against the Knicks?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, and Trey got hurt. The one game we had him by 11 when Trey got hurt. God, man, I wish we had pulled that game off. Because they're going to go into that game with the utmost confidence. But don't worry, because as long as the Hawks at full strength, I still think we can take the Knicks as long as we at full strength. Because they got us before when we were hurt.
Well, I don't know if I share the same optimism. I think it would be a good series. But I think, once again, playoffs, you got to have that dude who can get buckets, and the Knicks have a guy who can get buckets and Randle.
Well, we got Bogey and Sweet Lou and Gallo. They streaky.
Bogey gets buckets off of good ball movement. He's not the kind of player that you just give him the ball and say, go get a bucket. Lou Williams probably does it the best out of any of the Atlanta Hawks players. A lot of Trey, he tries to get buckets, and it's more so he goes with the purpose of getting fouled, not necessarily to score the bucket. And sometimes he takes too many ill-advised shots in his quest of trying to get fouled. And therefore, I think Trae Young is going to have to be a little bit calmer and play a little bit more under control in order for him to be able to be a major force, because most of the time that he's played in the NBA, he hadn't been playing for anything. So you can take risks. And I think it's the Kyle Kuzma factor. Kyle Kuzma played really exceptionally well when the Lakers weren't playing for anything. So you could do a lot of crazy stuff and take all of these ill-advised shots because you're not really trying to win. You're just trying to make a good showing, put up some stats. And that's what Trae Young came into the league with, not really playing for anything meaningful. So he could, experiment and so forth and so on. But now that you're playing for something, you can't do what you used to do. And I think that's where, I would count on Lou more in the playoffs than I would Trae Young. And, Sweet Lou is a little bit longer than two, but he still got some game on him. But, I don't know if the Hawks are going to be as much as a formidable force in the playoffs as they are in the regular season. And I would say to an Atlanta Hawks fan, lower your expectations this year. Lower your expectations because the Hawks do not have the makeup in the playoff makeup that your top tier teams have. They need another go-to player if they're really going to make.
And John Collins, and if John Collins can't be that guy, I don't know why he's trying to get paid, because that's the guy that should be getting the buckets. We both be depending on him.
I totally agree with that. I totally agree. And that's why if I were the Hawks, I wouldn't pay a premium to keep John Collins.
Not if he don't step up in these playoffs, I probably don't want him back, because we already got, to me, we got our main guys locked up. Bogey, Gallo, all our 3-point snipers, they good. Collins, you don't show up in the playoffs, we get somebody else. Because I'd rather have Randall. I need Randall right now for one of my teams.
Yeah, Randall's a beast. And I think the problem with John Collins is he's really not a 4, but he doesn't have 3 skills. You know,
he's not a beast too. He too finesse, man. He one of those finesse. It's not like he ain't that dog like Randall defender go out there and just blow you up. I don't care. I'm gonna knock you out and get my buckets. Nah, he ain't that Jimmy. You know what the play I'm trying to describe.
He doesn't have that
Butler, Randall, that tough guy in the paint. Just get out of my way. That Zach Randolph, get out of my way, and I'm going to the hole, and nobody gonna stop me. No, he ain't that type of player. He is finesse.
Rev, they need your team. I'm telling Rev, the Hawks need his team.
Who's that? Oh, you're talking about NBA 2K21?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
but
crazy.
That's the type of player Collins need to be, and that's the type of player that I think you saying we need that Collins is not capable of being right now.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. All right, last topic before we go to You Have the Right. We know that baseball made some news, in particular in Los Angeles. Pujols cut by the Angels. Let's just go back to one of our old segments. And we'll call this, let me rephrase it or put some additions. Going back to old school Red and Rev Sports Show topics. Fair or foul?
Yeah.
All right, Coach, we'll start with you this topic. Was it fair or foul that the Angels cut Albert Pujols?
I say foul. Foul, even though he's hitting 154, he's struggling. Put him on the bench. If he's not hitting, put him on the bench. He doesn't deserve to get cut. You're talking a man with 600 plus home run, a sure Hall of Famer. Okay, he's not producing right now. Put him on the bench or get time to get some swings in or something. Let him sit, get somebody in there for him. And then when you think he's ready or maybe ready, bring him back in. But cutting him, that's kind of a low blow by the Angels. I didn't agree with that when I saw it. I'm like, okay, he's struggling. You got plenty of guys struggling around the league. You put him on the bench, give him a chance to get the right and get the game right. Then, okay, he's ready, think he's ready, bring him back in. Foul.
All right, Red, do you share Coach's sentiment?
Coach gonna have to open up a church the way I'm amen to him and hallelujah him, man. But yes, I agree. It's foul. Like Coach said, dude, this is Albert freaking Pujols we talking about. Okay, this is not some old regular, average, mediocre player who, like, yeah, you want to designate him from assignment because he's not pulling his weight, or some guy you signed for a 1-year contract because he's not pulling his weight. Dude, just signed him for a 10-year contract. You knew how old he was gonna be at the end of the contract. It's his last year. Like Coach said, if he's not pulling his weight in the starting lineup, put him on a bench. This is a great, legendary Hall of Fame player. You do not treat him like this in his last season in the major league. The dude supposed to be doing a farewell tour. If you want to say, Albert, we're not bringing you back next year, this is your last year, he gonna say, duh, I already know that. But to completely release him, the man may want to play for a few more stats. Let him pad his stats a little more, while longer. They said what they do with all the other players. Did they do that to Jim Thome? Did they designate Jim Thome for assignment when he was hanging on, trying to hit his last few home runs at the end of his career? Did they do Vladimir Guerrero, Chipper Jones, all these other old cats that were trying to get the last few swings in, the last few stats in? This is one of the greatest offensive GMs in MLB history. And this the way you do this, man. Anaheim, I got no respect for your team. And honestly, I don't know why Mike Trout hasn't requested to be traded from that team. You see what they're doing, Mike Trout? Now you see your contract. This is how they're going to treat you in your last deal. Oh, completely foul. I'm just completely dumbfounded by the Angels in that decision yesterday.
As for me, I am not going to make this unanimous. It's fair.
Yeah.
With a capital F.
Oh.
With the capital F. It is completely fair.
I knew Real was going this way.
Most of what you all both talked about is what he did for the St. Louis Cardinals. Let's see what he did for the Anaheim Angels, the Los Angeles Angels, for 9+ seasons. The Angels have no playoff victories, no playoff appearances, or maybe one, since Pujols was there. Here's some stats I want y'all to see to show why it's fair. Run it. Seasons, Cardinals 11, Angels 10. All-star appearances, Cardinals 9, Angels 1. Best MVP finish, Cardinals 1st, Angels 17th. So, if you paid that man all that money for 10 years, you got one all-star appearance in 10 years. You didn't get your money's worth.
They signed him.
So now that they don't have to have him on the hook after this season, they're fed up with the non-production that he had for almost a decade. So they wasted millions of dollars bringing Pujols. Now, part of it's their fault because I would not agree, and I guess this could be a subtopic, I would not agree giving somebody a 10-year contract after they've already played 10 years. I could see a long-term contract for what they did for like Tatis in San Diego because this is his first contract. His contract will probably go into his early 30s, mid-30s at the latest. You're talking about giving somebody who's already 30 a 10-year contract, and that's going to push him almost to where he's 40. So the Angels brought that amongst himself, but still, I can see why they at least expected a good 4 or 5 seasons. At least when the Yankees gave A-Rod that long contract, he did help them win a World Series. So,
Real, they had no pitching.
Hey, man, Real.
They didn't have no pitching.
Why they don't have no pitching? Because they spent all the money on Pujols and other folks.
Rev, I'm looking at his stats. He didn't do half bad these seasons.
No, he did.
Home runs, 105 RBI.
Okay. You're giving me, I'm looking at what he did for the Cardinals versus what he did for the Angels.
Well, what? Nowhere.
Your best MVP finish, I'm paying you 30+ million out of 9 years is 17. So you telling me out of those 17, your best, how many of those players all 9 years made more money than Albert Pujols? I don't care. I'm not paying you to be good. I'm not paying you to be average. Don't put his numbers up with somebody who is trying to make a mark. I paid you to put us over the hump.
Well, the Angels made a bad decision right there. Well, like you say, Real, they paid this man 10 years after he had already played 10 years. So, yeah, they gave, I agree. I wouldn't have paid him. I wouldn't have gave him that contract. I thought he was going to the Marlins. I wouldn't have gave him that contract, but they did. So they had to know how old he was going to be at the end. And like Coach said, his numbers mostly they aren't really that bad. He had a 40 home run season, a 30 he had a few 30 home run seasons. He wasn't the Albert Pujols in St. Louis, of course, because he was more in his early prime.
What did he do? But what did he do? That was phenomenal in
But
Anaheim.
you got to think, Rev, you got to think about all the MVP. It's more MVP candidates in the American League. And then with Albert not being in his prime, those players are probably going to get more MVP consideration than him, like you say, twiddling on the Angels who not winning anything. So I understand what you're saying, but and then the Angels, they have made a lot of bad pitching decisions. I mean, him and Pujols, him and Mike Trout, even with their offensive numbers, I mean, with that pitching the Angels have had over the years, I think the Cardinals are a much better organization as far as building a championship team around Pujols than the Angels ever were. I'm still sticking with my Fry, even though I understand the points you making. It still was foul. I mean, you had them this long, might as well let them finish the season out.
Real.
Go ahead.
The Angels ownership said the Angels organization proudly signed him and are honored that he's worn an Angel jersey for nearly half his Hall of Fame career. His historical accomplishments, both on and off the field, serve as an inspiration to athletes everywhere, and his action defines what it means to be a true superstar. Since 2001, he and his wife Deidre have generously given their time and resources to countless charities throughout the world. We are thankful to the entire Pujols family.
That's because he has the reputation that he has. Now, since you wanted to bring up stats, when he was in with the Cardinals, he batted over 300 9 out of his 11 seasons. With the Angels, he did not have one 300 season.
Nope.
One. The best he batted was his first season. He batted 285.
Yep.
His second best season was 272, and his third best season was 268. The last 5 seasons, he didn't even bat 250.
That's what happened when you pay an Asian superstar 10-year contract.
Well, that's why I can't go foul.
I mean,
you can't go foul. You should go foul on the Angels front office department.
I understand. Look, they brought the man in. If he had done anything of major significance in the first 5 years, first 3 years, I would say foul. But he did nothing. One all-star appearance in 10 years. Did not bat 300 one time.
I don't know why he left St. Louis, man.
and the Cardinals, didn't they win a World Series without him? They just went to the finals. I mean,
the last one they won was with them.
They went to the World Series without him one time, I think.
Yeah, they went. They lost. They lost to Kansas City, I think.
I'll pick up the slack for Albert Pujols.
And that's another thing.
What'd you say, Coach?
I said, should Mike Trout pick up?
Mike Trout has been.
They better do Mike Trout the same way. If I was him, I'd out.
But Mike Trout.
You're right. Mike Trout is a lifetime Angel, so they might not do this. Mike
Trout has earned. He's done some stuff with the Angels. Even though they haven't won anything, he's won MVPs. He's done some major work. Now, I could use that argument for Mike Trout and saying the pitching, because Mike Trout has done all that he can do.
True. I'm with you on the pitching.
Pujols just had not done much as an Angel. And, if you got a plan and you see that Pujols, and Pujols brought this on himself. This is why it's not foul. Because he got upset that he was not in the lineup during a game this week. So that showed that he was not willing to be a team player and just chill. Bruh, you ain't doing much.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, he got upset this past week. So that's why in the press conference, the Angels made it plain Pujols doesn't see himself as a bench player.
Oh, bye, Albert.
So this is why Trout will soon be mounting stuff. His time. That's hilarious. But this is why they did what they did, because they got some people that they got to plug in. They know the Pujols era is about to come and go, and Pujols would not chill. He wanted to be in the lineup, and they saw where this was going, and that's why I can't say Farrell. That would be the mid. It was fair. Because if you're not going to show yourself to be a team player, like even Chipper Jones toward the end of his career, he didn't mind coming off the bench sometimes. Yeah. He didn't try to play every day. You know, he humbled himself.
The information, Rev, you left out.
Well, I mean, I wanted to go with the stats. That's why I wanted to go first. I didn't
know he was complaining.
Most of Pujols' legend is as a Cardinal. Basically, all of it is as a Cardinal. He compiled some more home run stats, but his batting average dipped greatly as a Anaheim Angel.
I don't know. Personally, I would have never left St. Louis. I mean, dude, they offered you a fair enough deal. I mean, you going out there for the money, dude, and then you would have got away with all of these, mediocre stats. Had you been in St. Louis, then you would have been a legend now. And you're right. If I had known you were whining this week now, they're just asking you, because you're right. Chipper Jones and a lot of those players I mentioned, they were pretty much on the bench the last few years, but they had no problem being team players. Now, Albert, if you're going to act like a diva, like you were acting like you was in St. Louis on your last year and you hitting below the Mendoza line, now I understand why the Angels made their move. So now I understand, and I might have to change it to, instead of just playing foul, Farrell.
Coach, have you moved?
It's fair if he was crying. I ain't know Albert was crying.
Are you still hanging on foul, or have you moved to Farrell? Or even fair?
I plead the Fifth Amendment right now.
Okay. We didn't know Albert was crying. Me and Coach can't support all that complaining and not being a team player.
So Rev made his case. All right, I did my job. All right, real quickly, Thomas is asking this question: will he get picked up? What is his options?
Well, La Russa just said nope for the White Sox. So if you ask me, that would have been his best bet to go reunite with Tony La Russa. But La Russa saying no.
It's not.
Albert, I think ESPN is calling, or maybe one of your little Mexican TV stations in Venezuela.
Right.
The only way he has a chance of getting picked up is obviously an American League team to be a potential DH. And I don't see one of the contenders in the AL willing to give up a roster spot to bring in Pujols.
Too much money.
Is that now when he ain't gonna be a team player? Well, they wouldn't have to pay him. They wouldn't have to pay. I think the Angels on the cook for his salary, right?
Well, it was not. It wasn't. Yeah, I mean they paid the rest of his salary. They're on the hook for that.
I paying no big money to him.
No. If somebody picked him up, he would get like basically the veterans minimum.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be paying him no major salary. But I think if he's not showing the propensity to be a team player, like his ego is in the way now.
Yeah. That's not you're right. That's not, you can't be if you're not gonna be a team player. I don't even see. I was gonna say maybe a team like Kansas City, probably add you, or a team like just a team that know they're gonna be competing down the line and probably need that extra bat off the bench. But you're right. If you don't go into that team knowing that you're not gonna play every day, Albert, you're probably gonna be the equivalent to a Pablo Sandoval role on the Braves. And if you're not gonna be able to accept that role or that position, it might be time to retire.
No doubt about it. He's 41, oldest player in the league. Yep.
Go to Cleveland.
All right, real quick.
I'm 41 now. I'm trying to make it seem like it's that old.
Well, it is old. Baseball is old.
Yeah, baseball is old, but
sports that's old. Yeah. In general, it's not old, but in sports, it's old. That's old, brother. All right, let's move on real quickly and go to you have the right. Who has the right to do when, where, what, when, where, and how? Who wants at it first?
I already know what I'm gonna say, so go, Coach. You can go.
Washington Wizards, you have the right to not only play and get in the play-in tournament, but win the play-in tournament and go to the playoffs. Simple as that. Simple.
All right, Red. What do you?
Don't worry, Coach. It's gonna happen.
I done
who has the right to do what, when, where, and how?
Freddie Freeman. eventually I'm gonna say you got a right to give back your MVP trophy. I'm holding off on that for right now. But dude, you got a right to start hitting, my man. I mean, even last night we had some perfect situations that you came up and you could have got out the slump, came up twice with 2 men on base. We needed a big hit and you failed both times. You hit 195, you're 0 for your last 29. Freddie Freeman, 0 for his last 29 at-bats, hitting 195. Freddie, you got the right to be the MVP player my Braves expect you to be, or dude, we don't have a chance.
All right, and I'm going to stay with the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves, you have the right to put 2 good series together. You know, you go play well one series, then you don't do well the next series. You get swept by the Blue Jays after you play a good series against the Cubs. And then you come back, sweep the Nationals, and you get smacked up last night. So you got 2 games to salvage this particular series against the Phillies. You're in prime position after this weekend. If you take care of business tonight, take care of business tomorrow, you're tied with the Phillies for first place in an NL East. So you have the right to be more consistent with your play. And with that being said, that gets ready to conclude the Red and Rev Sports Show. We want to thank the Revanite Nation, Thomas Holcomb, giving us some good baseball information. The minimum for baseball is $570,500. Albert could use that.
That's enough, Albert.
That's enough, Albert. He already fleeced the Angels for 10 years. Thomas says, Hawks, you have the right to make a strong playoff run. Maury Thrower about the Miami Marlins, you have the right to beat Milwaukee to get out of the basement of the NL East. All right.
Keep dreaming, Maurice. Keep dreaming.
Where are you going?
Well, we got to thank the Revanite Nation for joining us today. Next week, Shelby will be back on
with
the panel. You know you missed the Red. Stop flexing. Stop flexing, Red. You know you missed Shelby. But nevertheless, we want to thank everybody for watching episode 188. Hopefully you'll be with us next week, same time, same Facebook page, YouTube channel, and Twitter page. All right, everybody, have a great one.
Real what Thomas is.
Let's see where he's reporting from. Checks clock. Got to catch the train for the Amazon Tarantula Tag Dancing and Basket Weaving Tournament in Gnome, Alaska.
You used that one before already, but thanks for telling us. I guess that's a repeat. I'm gonna find that book, Thomas.
Oh man! Everybody have a great week. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. God bless you, and
Happy Mother's Day.
Make sure you do right by your mothers, and if your mother's going home to be with the Lord, we pray for your strength and find strength off the memories that you have with your mama. God bless you.